All right, so we're diving deep today, ready to unearth those golden nuggets of insight from the materials you sent over. Those key takeaways that'll really get you up to speed.
Yeah, those aha moments.
Exactly. Today's all about George Coros's The Innovator's Mindset.
Hmm.
Empower learning, unleash talent, and lead a culture of creativity. Quite a mouthful, but powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is. And some big names have been singing its praises. Young Zhao, Angela Mayers, all talking about how practical it is for, well, bringing that innovative spirit into education and helping both teachers and students, really reach their full potential.
And it jumps right in. The
Mm.
Publisher's Forward even mentions how innovation has become almost like, what, a buzzword? Overused, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But they stress how crucial it is to bring the genuine meaning back. Like, we need the real spirit of innovation in schools to move beyond just doing things by the book, ticking boxes.
Absolutely. It's become so common that it's almost lost its punch. But Koros, right off the bat, brings it home with a personal story. His dad, an immigrant, was all about embracing new tech, like when VCRs came out. Not shying away from change, but seeing it as, and I love this, an opportunity to do something amazing.
I like that.
That whole perspective changes how we view innovation, right? It's more than just the newest gadget. It's a whole way of looking at things.
Right. And speaking of how we view it, Koros defines innovation pretty clearly. He says it's a way of thinking that creates something new and better. And it can come from inventing something totally new or even just like refining and iterating on what's already there.
Yeah, and he's really adamant about that, it being a way of thinking. It's not just about the latest tech or having more tools.
Which is funny because sometimes it does feel like that's the focus.
Right. He even quotes Carl Bass, the former Autodesk CEO. Bass said that innovation is the process of changing the world, the practical application of ideas and technologies to make things better. So yeah, tech is important, but it's how we use it, the thinking behind it, that makes it innovation.
It makes you think, how often do we get caught up in the what and forget about the why and how?
All the time. And that's where that buzzword problem comes in. People say innovation, but are they really doing it? Koros separates true innovation from just plain change or transformation.
Yeah, like swapping one textbook for another isn't really innovative.
Exactly. Change can be superficial, transformation might be a bigger overhaul, but real innovation, like Koros says, makes things better. And it all comes down to that question he keeps coming back to. What is best for this learner?
Right. It's not about the shiny new thing. It's about what actually helps the students.
Exactly. Like his example of the English teacher thinking, okay, is just embedding a video good enough, or should I be teaching how to cite sources properly? Or even better, should they be making videos? It's about looking at what you do and asking if it truly serves the learner.
And that active questioning, that seems like a big part of the mindset.
Totally. And another thing he brings up is that innovation isn't always, a physical thing you create. He talks about Bill Ferriter's technology integration graphic, how it was shared openly and people remixed it, built on it. The innovation was in the idea itself and in that community spirit of sharing and adapting.
Okay, so let's talk about mindsets.
Yeah.
We've all heard of fixed mindset. You're either born with it or you're not. And growth mindset, you can improve with effort. But Koros adds this innovator's mindset.
Right. It's like taking the growth mindset further. It's not just about knowing you can grow, but about intentionally using that growth to come up with new and better ideas.
So it's about creation, not just absorption.
Yeah, I like that. He uses this piano analogy. Fixed mindset says you're either a natural or you're not. Growth mindset says you can learn with practice. But the innovator's mindset is, okay, now use that skill to compose something new, something your own.
It reminds me of how everyone's talking about 21st century skills.
Absolutely. Koros mentions Thomas Friedman, who talks about how vital it is to be able to actually do something with what you know.
That's the innovator's mindset then, right? Taking knowledge and turning it into something.
Exactly. And the best part, it doesn't have to be this huge, expensive thing. He talks about innovation inside the box. You can be creative and resourceful with what you have, even with budget limits.
It's a hopeful thought for a lot of educators, I think.
For sure. It's not about waiting for more stuff. It's about using what you've got in a smarter way.
Now, we hear all the time that failure is part of innovation. Koros doesn't completely disagree, but he puts more focus on resilience and grit, being able to bounce back and having that, determination to keep going.
Yeah, it's not about celebrating failure itself, but about what you do after.
Like his story about the learning coach. The problem wasn't that the teacher tried something that didn't work perfectly. It was that they gave up after just one try. That's not the spirit of innovation, is it?
No, it's about trying different approaches, experimenting until you find what works. Especially when it comes to students, we can't just accept failure as the end. He gives this great example of a teacher working with a student who had a stammer. She kept trying different things, even if they didn't work right away, because she was determined to help that student. That's the innovator's mindset in action.
And that ties into his point about innovation not always being a huge change. Sometimes it's about those smaller but significant tweaks.
Right, like Lisa, the teacher who had students make videos about mitosis. She worked within the curriculum but found a near engaging way to teach it, and the students really thrived.
Okay, so relationships, Koros is big on this. He talks about Stephen Covey's speed of trust and how Dave Burgess is all about making learning so exciting that kids are practically banging down the door to get in.
Yeah, it's about creating that atmosphere where people feel safe to try new things, to take risks.
When there's trust, there's more room for innovation, like Starbucks, letting their employees solve customer problems on the spot, or that kindergarten teacher, Mr. Gomez, with the Facebook page to connect with parents.
Such simple things, but so powerful. And that's what Koros is all about. Invest in those relationships, build that trust.
And he's big on personalized professional development, too, recognizing that teachers need that just as much as students. Different needs, different interests, it all comes back to those relationships, building a culture of innovation.
Right, because the culture comes from how we interact, how we connect. And that leads us to open culture, doesn't it? He talks about Chris Anderson and this idea of crowd-accelerated innovation, like how TED Talks and online videos have opened up learning and sharing.
It's amazing how much we can learn from each other, right?
Yeah.
He gives that example of Jeff Unruh, the teacher who just lurked on Twitter, watching other educators, and ended up improving his own teaching just from observing.
Imagine the potential when everyone's sharing and learning like that.
That's where those three elements of crowd-accelerated innovation come in, right? Connection, visibility, and intention. The crowd, being open about what you do and actually wanting to improve.
And he talks about the global teacher. Derek Sivers has this idea, obvious to you, amazing to others. What might seem basic to one teacher could be groundbreaking to another, just because they're coming from different experiences.
It's about sharing those aha moments.
Exactly. And it's not just teachers. ConnectedPrinciples.com, that's a great example of school leaders doing the same thing, sharing challenges, successes, strategies.
In Koros challenges that whole trade secrets mentality, like holding on to your best ideas because you don't want others to steal them.
Right, but in education, shouldn't we be sharing what works? Ultimately, it's for the kids, right?
He even asks, what if every teacher tweeted one classroom activity every day? Imagine the collective knowledge that would build.
It would be incredible. And it's about modeling that for students too, isn't it? Showing them that we're all learners, always growing.
So strengths. Koros is all about shifting to a strengths-based approach, moving away from just focusing on weaknesses.
It just makes sense, right? Build on what people are good at, what they're passionate about. It builds confidence and competence.
He even mentions research showing that focusing on strengths leads to more engagement, more productivity.
Absolutely. It's not about ignoring areas for improvement, but about recognizing that people thrive when they get to use their talents.
And it's about mentorship, too,
Yeah.
providing support, guidance.
Exactly. Like how Kelly Wilkins created a position specifically tailored to your strengths. That's recognizing someone's potential and giving them the space to flourish.
Liz Wiseman calls it native genius,
Yeah.
right? When you tap into that, you unlock what she calls discretionary effort. People go above and beyond because they feel valued, they feel aligned with their work.
It's powerful stuff. And Koros talks about giving ownership, too, not just to staff, but to students as well. That feeling of agency makes a huge difference.
He makes a good point about the difference between a 21st century school and 21st century learning. Just having technology doesn't mean you're actually teaching and learning differently.
It's about the mindset shift, the pedagogy.
Like he says, technology is just a tool, but it can be a transformative tool. The example of Lachlan's hearing aid really shows that.
It's about using technology to personalize learning, not standardize it.
And sometimes, our comfort with the old can hold us back from the new, even if the new is better. He tells that funny story about the BlackBerry, how people were so attached to it even when better things came along.
We've all been there, and that's why it's so important to be intentional about technology choices. He talks about how giving iPads to teacher leaders to explore first before any formal training was so successful.
It's about making sure those choices are truly learner-centered.
Absolutely. Choose the tools that best serve the learning goals.
Now, let's talk less is more. Koros makes a case for focusing on depth over breadth, especially with so much information out there these days.
Information overload is real. He even mentions Guy Kawasaki's advice about keeping things concise, 5-sentence emails, 10-slide presentations.
Get to the point.
Exactly. It's about quality over quantity.
And he admits he learned this the hard way. He overwhelmed his staff at first by giving them too many resources.
It's the paradox of choice, right? Too many options can be paralyzing.
He talks about Bernardine Porter's framework going from literate to adaptive to transformative use of technology. It shows how mastering a few key tools is better than superficially using many.
And that connects to the creativity requires time video, right?
Yeah.
You need that space and time for real exploration and innovation to happen.
Which ties into what Alberta Education is doing, focusing on the whole child. Not just literacy and numeracy, but things like collaboration, critical thinking, creativity.
Those skills take time to develop.
He gives the example of using blogs as journals. It encourages writing, reading, digital citizenship, all in one.
It's about finding those high-impact tools and strategies.
Okay, so professional learning. Koros says it should mirror the kind of learning we want for students. He even connects it to his 8 things to look for in today's classroom.
So if we want students to have voice, choice, time for reflection, then teachers should have that in their professional development too.
He gives examples for each one, like video reflections for voice or letting teachers choose their own learning paths.
Embedding reflection time in workshops, using Google Forms, for example.
Providing opportunities for teachers to try new things, take risks.
Having them share what they're learning, creating an authentic audience through blogs or social media.
Using inquiry-based learning, but for teachers.
It's about making professional learning engaging and relevant.
And he's a big advocate for digital portfolios. It shifts the focus from the evaluator to the learner.
Like in Parkland School Division, they use edublogs for student portfolios, but also for teachers to document their own learning.
It's about making assessment more meaningful, more holistic.
Showing growth, not just checking boxes.
And that leads to the big question. How do we define success? Koros challenges the idea of just looking at test scores or money.
He quotes Katie Martin, who says it's ridiculous that we talk about wanting critical thinkers and problem solvers, but then mostly just measure test performance.
The impact of education goes way beyond that, right? He suggests surveying former students, asking about their contributions to society, their passions, their preparedness for life.
That's getting at the heart of it.
He talks about that balance between basics and innovation. We need the foundation, but we also need to go beyond just knowing things.
We need to be able to do something with that knowledge.
He shares his own experience, how he felt like something was missing even though he got good grades.
It's about finding your passion, your purpose.
And he mentions Erica Goldson's valedictorian speech, where she questions the whole idea of just playing the game of school without really engaging with learning.
It's a powerful critique of the system.
And he ends this section with Muhammad Ali's poem, Me, We. It's a reminder that innovation often starts with the individual, but it needs collaboration to really make a difference.
We need each other.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive into the innovator's mindset, the key takeaway is clear. This way of thinking, this mindset, is essential for creating meaningful learning experiences for both teachers and students.
We've covered so much. Defining innovation, embracing a growth mindset, understanding the role of resilience and grit, the importance of relationships and open communication.
Focusing on strengths, empowering learners, prioritizing depth over breadth, rethinking professional learning and assessment.
It's a lot to take in, but it's all connected, isn't it?
And Koros ends the book with this powerful thought. The biggest barrier to innovation is often our own thinking. And the biggest game changer, educators who embrace the innovator's mindset.
It's inspiring and a little challenging.
Definitely. It makes you think about your own mindset and how you can apply these ideas.
So here's a final thought to ponder. How can we shift our focus from just measuring compliance to actually celebrating and nurturing the development of an innovator's mindset in ourselves and in our students?
It's a question worth asking ourselves and worth exploring further. Maybe revisit the book, dig a little deeper.
There's always more to learn. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.